it's Krystal Everdeen, and today I'm going to show you how to crochet this mini skirt slash beach cover up. And before we begin, I just want to let you know that I did mess up a few times in this tutorial, so I would suggest that you follow what I say and not what I do exactly in this video, because if you listen to what I'm saying and then you look at the video and you're like, wait a minute, but you didn't even do that, well, it's just going to confuse you. So I'm just going to warn you ahead of time that I did mess up a few times. So if you catch some mistakes that I did, yep, those are the ones I'm talking about. Okay, let's get started. For this project, I'm using size 4 yarn from the brand Red Heart and a size 5mm hook. The first step is making a slip knot, and after you have made your slip knot, then you're going to chain a chain of however many chains it takes to wrap around the largest part of your bottom half. And I know that was worded weird, but basically, for the most part, everyone's waist is smaller than their butt. So if you make the chain to fit your waist, but you try to put the skirt on, it's not going to go over your butt because it's bigger than your waist. You get it? So yeah, measure out the widest part of the bottom half of your body, and once your chain is able to wrap around that portion, then you're done with the chain and you can move on to the next step, which is to go back on that chain using a triple crochet, or at least what I call a triple crochet. I get a lot of mixed responses in the comments as to what an actual triple crochet is. They say this is treble crochet, they say I don't know, other things. And I don't know, but for the sake of this tutorial and pretty much all of my other tutorials, this is what I mean by triple crochet. Yarn over through the stitch, yarn over back through the stitch, yarn over through one loop, yarn over through two loops, yarn over through the last two loops. And the triple crochet stitch should look something like this. And I know I am going a bit fast. However, I do have a crocheting for beginners video that goes through all the stitches in a more beginner-friendly manner, but you can always rewind and replay as many times as you'd like if you are truly falling behind in this, which is perfectly fine. Again, I am going pretty fast just because I don't want this video to take forever, although it looks like it's going to be over 20 minutes long anyway. So once you have completed that row of triple crochet, then you're going to grab both ends of that project and you're going to align them so that they're even and they're both facing the same way. You do not want it twisted at all. And you're going to attach them. And all you have to do to attach them is align them so that the tops are touching and the bottoms are touching. And then you slip stitch through both of them through the top. And then you slip stitch through them again through the middle. And finally, you slip stitch through both of them at the bottom, which will now be the top, I guess. Sorry, I'm so dang confusing with my explanations. And this is what it should look like. A little bit of a bulge because, again, you just attached both ends together. And after that, you're going to have this loop now. So instead of working in rows back and forth, you're actually going to be working in loops round and round. So from here, you're going to chain 2 as you normally would, and then you're going to go into the first stitch with a triple crochet, and you're going to continue with 2 more triple crochets. So total 3 consecutive triple crochets, like so. And then you're going to chain 1, skip 2, go into that third stitch, and create what is called a scallop. And a scallop is made up of 8 triple crochets inside of 1 stitch. Yep, inside of 1 stitch, all in one. So yeah, just make 8 triple crochets all in that 1 stitch, and after you have completed all 8 of the triple crochets, you will end up with something that looks like this, which is a little scallop. And that's pretty much the pattern throughout the entire loop. So you're just going to chain 1 again, skip 2 stitches, go into the third stitch, and you're going to make those 3 consecutive triple crochets as you did before. So that's 2, and this is 3. There we go. Then you're going to chain 1 and do it all over again. So this is what it should look like. 3 consecutive triple crochets, then a scallop, then 3 consecutive triple crochets. So you're going to skip 2 stitches, go into that 3rd stitch, and then you're going to make another scallop. Woohoo! So 8 triple crochets inside of 1 stitch. And after you've created your 8 triple crochets, then you're going to be left with a gorgeous scallop. And the next thing you'll have to do is, wait for it, chain 1, skip 2, go into that 3rd stitch, and then make your next set of consecutive triple crochets. Wonderful. And you're going to do that throughout the entire row or loop until you have reached the point where you started this entire loop. And after you have done that, it should look something like this. So this is the first row or the first loop of this pattern, and this is what it should look like. Now everyone's actually going to have a bit of a difference here though once you reach the very end. Some people may end on a scallop, some people may end like me with the 3 consecutive triple crochets. However, I actually only had space for 2 consecutive triple crochets, and that's fine. Just whatever you need to fill in that gap there. Now on to the second row, second loop, whatever, same thing. You're going to chain 2. Then you're going to reach on over to those 3 consecutive triple crochets that you made in the previous row. And you're going to make 1 triple crochet on top of it. Then you're going to chain 3. Then you're going to make another triple crochet inside of that same stitch. And what you're going to end up with is an open shell stitch. After you've created that open shell stitch, you're going to chain 2, reach on over to the scallop that you made in the previous row, and then you're going to make 3 consecutive triple crochets on top of that scallop. And now it should look something like this. So this is your open shell stitch. It looks like a V. And then right after that is going to be your 3 consecutive triple crochets. So now from the 3 consecutive triple crochets, you're going to chain 2, then reach on over to the 3 consecutive triple crochets from the previous row and make an open shell stitch, which is again made up of 1 triple crochet followed by 3 chains followed by another triple crochet inside of the same stitch. And after you've made that, then you're going to chain 2, reach on over to the scallop that was made in the previous row, and make another set of consecutive triple crochets. And that's the pattern. You're just going to repeat that throughout the entire row, throughout the entire loop, until you've completed 1 cycle, 1 loop. I really don't know what to call it. Okay, so yeah. That's it. Right now I'm making another open shell stitch, consisted of a triple crochet, then 3 chains, and then another triple crochet inside of the same stitch. Then I'm going to chain 2, reach on over to the scallop from the previous row, and then make 3 consecutive triple crochets on top of that scallop. And after I have done those 3 consecutive triple crochets, I'm going to go ahead and make an open shell stitch, and then just continue so on and so forth until I have completed the loop. And once I've completed the loop, then it's time to move on to the next stage in the pattern. And after this row, then it just repeats itself over and over, just alternating, and it just gets easier from here. And actually, now that I'm rewatching this footage while I'm editing here, I noticed that I'm actually crocheting pretty dang fast, and I know that some of you actually may find it hard to follow, so I am going to write up and upload a blog post that will serve as a supplemental guide to this video with diagrams and pictures and a written pattern, or rather a written guide. And hopefully it helps clear everything up, because again, once you get this pattern down, then you could do the entire skirt, because the entire skirt is pretty much made up of this pattern. So once you've mastered this, then you got it. You're good to go. Okay, so on to the third row of this pattern. After you have made your row of consecutive triple crochets followed by open shell stitches, now every time you come across an open shell stitch from the previous row, you're going to make a scallop inside of it. That means 8 triple crochets inside of that one open shell stitch, which is much easier to make than the first set of scallops that you made. That's just inside of that one little stitch that you made. Now you have a whole open shell stitch that you can make your scallop in. And after you've created your 8 triple crochets inside of that one open shell stitch, then your scallop will look like this. Very pretty and pretty perfect. So after that, you're going to chain 1 and head over to the previous row's set of 3 consecutive triple crochets, and you're just going to make 1 triple crochet on top of them. Right in the middle, just 1 triple crochet. And that's it. Then you're going to chain 2, reach on over to the next open shell stitch and make another scallop. And that's what's going to be the pattern for this entire row. So on top of every 3 consecutive triple crochets is just going to be 1 lonely triple crochet. And then on top of every open shell stitch is going to be a scallop, and so on and so forth. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. So from here, I'm going to chain 2, and then I'm going to head over to the previous row's set of triple crochets and make my 1 lonely triple crochet. Then I'm going to chain 2, reach on over to the open shell stitch, create another scallop, and do that for the rest of the row / loop. And after I have done that and I've completed that entire row / loop, then for my next row, I am going to make an open shell stitch on top of every single lonely triple crochet from the previous row. So I'm just going to go into that lonely triple crochet and make another triple crochet on top of it. And then I'm going to chain 3. Then I'm going to make another triple crochet inside of that same stitch, and that's going to provide me with an open shell stitch. Just like that. So on top of every single lonely triple crochet, you're going to make an open shell stitch right on top of it. So after that, just chain 2, reach on over to the scallop, and you're going to create 3 triple crochets on top of that scallop. So triple crochet, and finally triple crochet. And after you've made your 3 consecutive triple crochets on top of that scallop, you're going to repeat the pattern by chaining 2, reaching on over to the lonely triple crochet from the previous row and making an open shell stitch on top of it. And you're going to repeat that pattern throughout the entire row. Then after you completed that row, you're just going to repeat what you did in the previous row. So every single open shell stitch that you see, you're going to make a scallop, and then every set of consecutive triple crochets, you're going to make that lonely triple crochet, and then you just alternate back and forth the pattern over and over again until the project gets bigger and bigger, longer and longer, and you're satisfied with the length of your skirt. So just keep going until you try on the skirt and you're happy with the fit. And once you are, then you're done with the main portion of the project. Now all you have to do is make the straps for it, or rather, not really the strap, the thing that goes around the waist. It's not considered a strap. What is it called? I don't know. The belt, I guess. So before I do that though, I need to show you how I finished off the skirt. So I'm going to finish off one last scallop, and after I've created this last scallop, I'm going to cut the yarn from the yarn ball, which I actually already did, and I'm going to reach on over to the next set of stitches, which is the 3 consecutive triple crochets, and then I'm going to make one last slip stitch, bring the yarn all the way through, give it a tug, and then either cut the excess yarn or tuck it in like I do. I like to tuck it in instead, just in case I need to unravel the project, or I need to find the end so I can add more yarn to it and then continue the project, but it's totally up to you. So after you have finished the project off, then you make your belt, the thing that goes around your waist, by simply making a chain that is long enough to not only wrap around the entire skirt, but also have excess, because you do need it to be long enough for them to tie together. If it's just long enough to go around your skirt, then you're not going to have anything to actually tie together. So after you have chained a chain that is long enough to serve as your drawstring, I guess this is considered a drawstring strap thing. Okay, whatever this is called, the thing that goes around your waist so you could tighten it and loosen it whenever you need to. Okay, so after you've created that chain, you're going to determine where the front of your skirt is, and it's really up to you where you want the front of your skirt to be. I decided that this side looks prettier for some reason, and that's going to be my front. So now all I have to do is figure out where the middle is, and I could count my stitches and calculate it and make it perfect, but I don't ever do that. I just eyeball it and just figure out where the middle stitch is, and once I do, I actually go to the side a little bit because I don't want to attach this exactly in the middle, because that's not how straps work. And then I'm going to put my hook through the back of 3 triple crochets and bring the chain through those 3 triple crochets, or through the back of them, like that. And leave a little bit extra on one side, and then I'm going to skip 3 stitches, place my hook under 3 triple crochets, and then bring my chain through again. So it should look something like this. So the chain should go under 3 triple crochets, then over 3 triple crochets, then under 3 triple crochets, and so on and so forth. And that's all you have to do for the rest of the skirt. Just skip 3 triple crochets, and then in the next set of 3 triple crochets, you put your hook behind them, and then you're going to bring your chain right back through those 3 triple crochets, and yeah, that's it. That way your chain will be going under and over and under and over throughout the entire waist portion of the skirt. And that's going to serve as a helpful drawstring. That way you can loosen and tighten your skirt so you could take it off and put it back on with ease. So after you have gone all around your skirt doing that, you're going to make sure that you don't overlap with the other strap that you started out with. You want a little bit of space in between, that way you can tie them together and it won't look weird. So yeah, that's some drawstring action there. You just pull it and then it tightens. Wonderful. And then you could tie a cute little bow in the front, and that's it. That's your skirt. You are amazing for completing this wonderful, beautiful project. Look how awesome it looks. Now you can either use it as a beach cover up and wear your bikini and this over it, or you could actually make it a regular mini skirt by just putting lining under, or you could even make this really long and make it a maxi skirt. So instead of stopping here, you just continue with the pattern over and over and over and over and over again until it's a maxi skirt, and that would take a lot of yarn and a lot of time, but I'm sure it would look awesome. Well, thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please leave a thumbs up. And if you thought it was too fast or confusing, before you hit that thumbs down button, please check out my blog post to see if that's helpful. And if it is, please share that, as well as give this video a thumbs up and click that red subscribe button if you have not already, so I can see you next time. Bye-bye.